Welcome to Supercharge Your Intuitive Edge. I'm your host today, Jamara Knorr, and I am lucky enough, blessed enough to spend time with Anna Kowalska. Anna guides women to birth their highest soul level body of work so they can fully embody their soul purpose and live prosperously. Anna went from creating traditional success, which checked all the boxes, but left her feeling empty and lost, to creating a successful business and life based on her unique design. She is devoted to co-creating a world of harmony, unity, purpose, and prosperity within and without for all of light by activating new earth leaders. Welcome, Anna. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Tamara. I love this topic. I love the direction that you are taking this whole entire series. I'm super excited to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. People like you and enhancing it bigger and bigger. It's been fabulous. Let's get right into the new earth leaders. Do you want to just tell me a little bit about what you mean?
Yes, I'd love to, because it's one of the things that I'm super excited about and have been for quite a bit of time. So we are creating a new earth. Humanity is at the precipice of something tremendously exciting and amazing, and that's going to take a new kind of leadership. So in the past, we looked at leaders as somebody who knows where they're going and we follow them. And there is a limited space for the leaders. There are only so many seats, right? There are only so many tops where the leaders sit. And where we are going, we are redefining that. So we're looking at leaders as those who, yes, they still lead, but they lead differently. And every single one of us is a leader in the new earth definition, because every single one of us has something unique to offer, and we lead that unique offering into the world. And I don't even mean like it could be business related. It could be an idea. It could be a vision for a whole entire industry. And then part of something that I think is going to happen for New Earth, it's already happening, is that we have pieces of the vision and then come together with other leaders. And only when we come together can we see the totality of it. So it's very different than it used to be in the past, where we gave our power over to leaders at the top and followed them. They knew better, right? Like I grew up in very follow the authority kind of a structure. I grew up in a communist country. There was always the ones who knew, that who had more information, and they had to know something more than I did, and you follow them. And this whole idea of a new earth leader is we allow our uniqueness to come through. We allow it then to guide and lead us. Thus, we become the leader of it. And there could be a whole entire village, and village could be a community, a group, it doesn't matter. Just like to call it a village. There could be 20 people, and each are a leader of a different component of the vision. And we look to the leader for the different aspect of what they contribute, versus there is one person who knows, the one person who is going, haywire, doing it all together, doing it all alone, and then everybody has to follow or chooses to follow. It's about stepping in our power and not giving power over to somebody with a leadership role. There may be somebody who holds the vision for the collective, for sure, because it does support that. But every single person is responsible for contributing something super valuable, unique, and indispensable in the vision that the whole unit is creating.
100% agree with you. Yes, I think we're really at a time where, when I say new leadership, it really is that everyone in the tribe has their unique gift to add to the whole. And I think women are especially good at that, and we're like leading the way in that. I find it very exciting. That can be challenging as well, as people are used to following an authority and orders and stuff. So how do you feel like we're shifting that? What are some of the things you're seeing, or that you're sort of sharing in your coaching, that is helping facilitate that?
Yeah, it's being willing to be responsible. And that's responsibility. It's a whole other word that in our language has been muddied up with obligation, heaviness. And we are changing that. Responsibility means I lead, I am responsible for it. I'm not looking at anybody else around to say, hey, maybe you know more than I do. Could you tell me what to do? More than that, even, we're not looking at somebody else to pay us, meaning a job or an organization or some kind of a, like, I don't even want to get into systems, but we are standing, because that's a whole other loaded conversation, but we are standing responsible for what we create in our lives. We are standing responsible for how we sponsor our endeavor. So I may have a vision for something and be like, I have no idea how that's going to happen. I have no money for it. My job pays me XYZ. I'm afraid to leave my job. And the new leader doesn't have those kind of conversations. The new earth leader says, wow, there is something what wants to birth through me. I am the one who's going to be birth it, raise it, breathe air into it, make sure that it's sufficiently sponsored, meaning it has sufficient funds, I mean money. It has everything it needs and required to grow in the world. Collect the people that will attract other people that will support me in pieces that they are supposed to support me with, because I'm not the only one holding this vision, versus the old earth where it's like, I'm going to go do the job. Somebody will tell me what to do. If I get it wrong, it's not on me, it's on them, because they told me what to do. They give me a paycheck. I work maybe an hour a day. Whoop, whoop, look at me. I just dropped my pen. I put 2 check marks on a page. I just got paid for a whole days of work. There is this lack of sense of, and I'm not saying everybody is like that, because there are some very hardworking people who have been wasting away their energy and talents. So it's like 2 different sides of this equation. But in the old paradigm, very few people were inspired to reach a certain level of responsibility for what they contribute to humanity. Again, you went to job and you put 2 check marks. Yay, when is my retirement day? I cannot wait for my retirement day. First for Friday, then for my 1 week of paid vacation, and then for my retirement. And that's not what's going to happen in New Earth Leaders, where we are going. I yearn to contribute. Something wants to come through me, and I feel a sense of purpose. Just, again, we'll talk about purpose, but even without talking about soul purpose and what it means, I feel a sense of purpose and aliveness. And when I feel a sense of purpose and aliveness, I direct the life force energy in a certain direction. And now I feel like I'm a fully, wholly contributing component of humanity. And now when I am that, then I feel powerfully open to receive everything I need and require, including money, for my vision. So maybe I first continue working my job. Maybe that's what I get to do first. I don't get to quit overnight because I woke up in the morning after not sleeping for several hours, seeing this whole possibility in my head. And then I got a 1 hour of sleep, woke up in the morning, that's it, I'm giving my 2-week notice. It may not be true for everybody, although for some people that's what it will take. But from that moment on, I choose to consciously direct my energy towards that vision. And I ask myself different questions. Maybe I work extra hard at my job if I didn't up until now, because there is something I am learning there. There is something I am extracting from the experience. And the more that I contribute, the more I am available for bringing into my vision. So New Earth leaders have a very different way of thinking. It's very difficult for a lot of people to grasp this level of responsibility, because we are so conditioned to be afraid of the results, to be afraid of getting things wrong, to be afraid of experimenting, to be afraid of taking risks. We've been raised to be safe and cautious. Safe and cautious, right? Yeah. Assures that I'm alive, assures that I get it right, assures that I'm praised for not, stirring the pot and just showing up and doing my work. And New Earth is not like that. New Earth calls forward in us, standing for something, using our voice, using the life force energy, not as a bypasser, not as this default container that channels it through, but actively, consciously saying, there is a life force flowing through me that's full of information that is just for me, speaking of intuition, that is just for me to use it in a certain way. And when I become a channel that's intentional, that is excited that is on purpose, vision driven, worthy and responsible, all of a sudden, all of this that information becomes available to me. And now I direct it in a particular way. Even if nothing's changing in my life right now, I still work at a certain job, I still have certain friends. For a while, nothing may change, and then something will. It must. It must. So that's true for some people. And I'm kind of painting those pictures for the difference between where we've been and where we are going. And what wants to come in right now is awareness that we've lived as humans a certain way for a long period of time, but we expect the change to happen quickly. Could it? Yes. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it takes a while. I just got a message from one of my clients. She was awaiting an answer for their business, and it took longer than what they hoped for. And when it came back, it was 4 times, I mean it, 4 times of what they expected originally, which is amazing because on the background, there were things that were occurring and happening to expand what they are creating. Right. And they were in a conversation of what's going on. Maybe something's, we human, right? Something's wrong. What's off? Could it already happen? Could it come through? We sort of need it. No, we don't, but we feel like we do. Like, oh my gosh, it's 15th of the month. I don't know where the 1st of the month, what's going to happen by 1st of the month, but I'm okay right now. But my mind is racing. I speak to people, I don't know, I'm sure you do too, but I speak to people all the time. They're afraid to take a risk on something because they worried about paying their bills. But in the moment, they are okay. They are already worried about the future. It's the 15th of the month and they worried about the 1st. Why? Because they were conditioned that way.
And the lack of trust, right? The lack of trust. Because
yeah, absolutely.
It is meant to take your feet out from under you.
So
that you worry, even though everything is always working out for you, everything, what is meant to be yours cannot pass you by. It's just like, are you going to tune in to find out if that's what's happening? So when you think things are going bad, your clients were an example of actually went 4 times greater than what you thought they were to. Like that's
how amazing. And when we talk about trust, I love talking about trust because it's like everybody talks about trust and it's just this great word, 4-letter word, and it looks great on t-shirts. It makes great book titles. And do we really understand what trust means? Trust on a very fundamental level is I am responsible for my results. Thus, I know I can trust first myself, then universe. And I don't mean the order. I mean, I can trust myself. I can trust universe. I can trust God, source, whatever it is you call it. I can trust life and I can trust other people. Why? Because I began with, I am moving through life as a responsible creator of all my circumstances. If I go into the old paradigm where all my circumstances were depending on somebody else, the money I made was depending on the job that pays me or the system that pays me, or my husband I'm not married, never have been. I've always made my own money, but I'm saying it happens to a lot of people. Money that my husband made, right? If I lived like that for a long time, or maybe always, it's gonna take something for me to take the leap to understand that those circumstances weren't necessarily bad. But as the new earth creator, as the new earth leader, I fully must stand as a sovereign being responsible for my circumstances. That means that I don't have to let go of the old source. And it's not even source, it's where it came through, not from, through. But in what way will I now be responsible to secure my circumstances? Because then I can trust them. I trust myself. I can trust God, universe, whatever, divine, whatever you believe. I can trust life, and then I can trust other people. And that changes a lot. That changes how we take risks, what we step forward with. It changes how I trust my intuition. Right?
When people are just starting to, and because we've been through what we've been through, it's sort of blaring you in the face now. It's not so easy to cover it under things that it's been covered under. And people are like either dodging out, or they're like, oh my God, in. And it's like, oh my God, back. It's like a sort of a burn mechanism that I'm not sure
Yeah.
I want to. And that process can be very challenging for people, because it's like,
Hmm.
I know I need to, but I don't know what I'm doing. I know I need to, but I don't know what I'm doing. Should I not?
Hmm.
And I find that the energy right now is either here or here, but somewhere in this aligned space is becoming is a challenge for people. How do you help
Hmm.
people, or what do you suggest people do to sort of like find that alignment within themselves? Because like you said,
Hmm.
we are moving as a tribe, but each one of us is
Yeah.
responsible for our
Hmm.
the energy that we bring.
Yeah. There is an advice that I got a few years ago, and I couldn't tell you right this moment who I got it from. It was somebody very wise, I'm sure one of my mentors. Make a decision and make it right. Meaning, whatever decision, whatever you choose, decide that it's the right decision so you can keep moving forward. Why? Because when we keep moving forward, well, first of all, let's remove out of the conversation all the people who are asleep, because
Yeah,
that's not even who we're talking to. I know I'm talking to
agree.
people who are awake, aware, they know something's going on. In that state of me being awake, aware, connected to something bigger than I am, and I'm aware of it, and I know that I'm not all by myself creating these things and making them up. As long as I'm standing still, I'm actually there is no clarity in standing still, because all I'm doing is collecting evidence for why I'm not sure.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Right?
What
I
else?
look for a sign one
Yeah.
moment and I'll get a great sign a minute later. Unless I move on that sign, I'll get a sign that it's not the right decision. And I'm like, wait a second, but the sign before told me, and now I'm like, now I'm don't even know, right?
Yes.
So standing still does not create clarity. What creates clarity is movement, because if I'm moving, if I'm taking action, even let's say I'm moving in the wrong direction, and I use air quotes because there is no such a thing as wrong direction. I'll explain to you why. As long as I'm moving forward, then either I'm testing the direction that I'm taking and I am gaining information to show me this is not going to be aligned with what I want. Doesn't mean it's not for me, doesn't mean it's right. All I know is I'm moving in this direction, and now I see that, you know what? It's going to take more than I'm willing to give right now. It's going to I have to learn several things which I'm not willing to learn. I gather information. In this moment, I can make decision based on more data than I did over here, right? I have more information. Now, as I'm moving, something will become apparent and I may sidestep and I say, oh, I just discovered something that I didn't know that I need to learn. Let me sidestep and learn it. I may sidestep and learn it. And as I'm learning this, all of a sudden it becomes apparently clear, like a beautiful clear sky that I didn't see up until now, that I was always meant to go in this direction. But this option wasn't even available to me when I was standing here. I had to go here to see this and now learn this. And now that I learned this, wow, oh yeah, of course, this is, yes. Now I keep moving. I may get stuck again and I may question it again, but now I can remember that, oh yeah, remember when you just, as long as you moved, there was more information to make a decision based on. That's how intuition works too. I mean,
Oh,
this is right? Like intuition nothing's going to change. I love when people stand still. They're like, I'm going to think about it. Like, how long are you going to think about it? What are you going to think about? What do you think is going to happen by you thinking about it? All that's going to happen is you're going to gain evidence why you shouldn't move forward. That's all that's going to happen. You're going to gain evidence why standing where you are is the safest place to go. That's never going to expand you. It's actually going to bury you deeper in your lack of clarity and indecision, right? So moving forward is what gives us clarity. And there is no such a thing as wrong decision or wrong direction. People, no matter how much I say this, and I think it's just our human conditioning, people want to know, well, if I'm going to put this effort and energy into it, if I'm going to take this risk and I'm
right.
going to potentially, lose my job, lose my husband, lose my friends, like if I'm going to give all that up, then it better work out. Can you guarantee it's going to work out? No. The guarantee that you're seeking is what keeps you small. New Earth leaders don't need that guarantee. They move forward on the vision that they feel is being birthed in them. And they don't necessarily have to have it all fleshed out. They take a risk because they know it's with taking the risk on moving forward is when the next piece of information comes in to make it more clear. Or to say, you know what, there is something you're missing. Sidestep, gather information, maybe get some people to collaborate with you because the vision is much bigger than you thought. You can't do it alone. So let's get some people along with us. Okay, so now I sidestep and I create some collaborations. Now together we're moving faster, we're going farther, right? So it's I love when people say, I'm going to think about it. Anybody says to me, I'm going to think about it, it's a 99.9% guarantee they're not going to come up with anything other than evidence that's going to keep them where they are, which is most probably unhappy, stuck, stagnant, most probably going broke because we think we stand still. It's an illusion. We always only move forward or we slide backwards because everything else moves forward. So if I don't move by nature of it, I'm moving backwards, right?
True. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Did it answer your question?
Yeah, totally. It was amazing. I agree with you. Let's talk a little bit about how we bring in that money component, because there's lots of different, like, people are trading more than they're doing barter. There's digital currencies. There's lots going on. There's gold, there's silver. Like, you have all these conversations going on around money and prosperity. What does that look like for the new earth person, leader?
Do you hear my dog agrees with he loves talking about money. That's how he gets his treat, money. He doesn't know how to make it, but he loves what the money gets for him. So money. Well, first of all, there are so many theories about what's going to happen with exchange. Money is a symbol of exchange. That's all it is, period. I'm sure anybody who's tuning in is already heard it many different times, that money is it's an invention that we made. Money isn't, something that, it's a man-made invention. It symbolizes an exchange. It made it easier to trade with each other. So even right now, when people trade, when people clear up their money stuff, and there is a lot of money stuff we are clearing up, I am not a fan of barter, because when we barter, we don't truly clean up our money stuff. We kind of get away from dealing with what's underneath it, heal it and clear it, so we can move boldly in the direction of whatever new exchange form will look like. So I'll say that.
Okay.
Now, there are so many different theories about money and the future and what's going to happen with our economy. I'll tell you what I live by, and it has supported me for at least 2 decades now, specifically going through what we just went through in the last 3 years, where everybody, there was a lot of fear around money, and it's being used right now. Fear is being used against us, especially with money. So in America, are you in America? I don't remember. Okay, so in America, we have this whole debt ceiling conversation that's been happening for the last few weeks. And let me tell you, every time I read, and I don't watch news, I gather enough information from news to know what's going on, because I do believe we must be informed, but I don't sit there for hours reading. Every single time I read a headline about the debt ceiling, it's like, it is doom and gloom, and we're gonna all starve so the country can pay the bills, which is the most ridiculous thing if you think about it. The whole system makes no sense to me, but makes no sense to my simple mind. But it creates fear. So everybody does something to feel safe. And what they do is they retrieve, they pull back, they shrink, they start, tightening the belt. Nothing may have changed in their reality yet. Not a penny less started coming in, but they will already start tightening their belt because of what's coming. Well, what's coming is what we create. We are literally creating new earth in a certain way. And we don't know yet what it's going to look like. So I am present to some conversations which speak to different possibilities about what money will look like in the future. And there are several that I am truly aligned with. And when I speak with spirit, when I communicate with spirit, it's what lands in my body the most truthfully. And it's that there won't be just one way in which we exchange. It will be, so this whole conversation of centralized versus decentralized, it's not even like that. It's really, there will be different ways to trade going forward. There will be different forms of trade. There will be different ways with engaging depending on where we are and who we are being with, who we are communicating with. There will be different ways to basically exchange our energy and what we are birthing and how we are contributing for what we need and require. And the only thing that will matter about how much we have is not, did I put it in the right investment? Because I don't think there is such a thing right now. We truly don't know. Was I smart about how I spend it? Yeah, definitely. There is wisdom in that. Or did I just save enough buried in the ground? Well, what are you burying? What if dollar is worth nothing tomorrow? What are you burying, right? What if gold is worth nothing tomorrow? You don't know. But the more that we can stand in the value of the energy that flows through us, this is the truth that I keep bringing all the awakened leaders into. And I'm not the only one. Thankfully, there are many of us, including you, doing this work. The more that I stand in the value of what I contribute, the more that I stand in responsibility and ownership of what I'm contributing and what I need and am willing to receive in exchange, the more I am participating in the new earth economy. And some of it may look like barter. Some of it may look like trading, living for work. It may look like that. Come live in our village. Come tend to our I don't know, I'm trying to make up stuff. Come tend to our school system, which is going to be whole new and different. And in exchange for that, you'll get XYZ. But it's different than it used to be, because the way it used to be, and I grew up in a communist country, so my parents literally got an apartment by working for a certain company. When they quit the company, they had to give up the apartment. It's not going to be like that. There's going to be a layer to it that's very intrinsically different. And it will depend, all of that will depend on us standing in a value of what we contribute. So responsibility isn't just about how I am creating what I'm creating, but who I'm being as I'm creating it. Am I giving all my whole self over to whatever I create? And thus also receiving everything I need and require to be my best self. And that will create a cycle of exchange. Now, at first, it will be with money, because this is the system that's happening right now. But people who are bartering right now, in my experience, are still doing it out of fear, not out of creating a new system. They are doing it out of fear. They're afraid of charging. They're afraid of receiving money. They're afraid of being responsible stewards of money. They're afraid of what will I do with this money? What will it make me look like? Especially when it comes to awakened spiritual beings. A lot of us are still living in this idea that we don't know how to be with money, we don't want to deal with money, so we'll barter. And that's not the correct way to heal the energy of exchange. That is not the correct way to heal the energy of flow. That is actually what's going to stop the flow and stop the new systems of creation. Because if we heal our wounds, our money wounds, our value wounds, our worth wounds, then we are open to creating some way to pay, to exchange, to invest, to grow our resources that we have no idea what it's going to look like yet. And I truly believe that. But only if we are immersed in it, in participating fully, not trying to avoid it, which is what a lot of people who barter right now do, right?
Yeah.
Only then can I...
Sorry, and you're talking, what it sounds like to me is the intention behind it. So if the intention is to hide from money, and I don't want to receive money, so therefore let's just barter. But if when we're not maybe there yet, as the evolution happens, when we are ready to barter in that way, that isn't full of fear, then that system could work.
That we could, yes. And yeah, and you know what farther than that, Tamara, what farther than that is, we are creating all new systems for the new paradigm, and we don't know what those systems are yet until we fully engage in in where we are. Then we can innovate. then from learning how it worked, how it didn't work for me, what I was trying to hide from, what wasn't working for me in the system, from that space, I can innovate, not to fix the old, but understanding what didn't work about it. Now I can open myself to a download of a whole new intuitive hit to how the new system could be. And barter could be part of it from a new place, or maybe not at all.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the leading edge of innovation actually is just
Mhm.
creation itself. It's
Yeah.
creation from a place of inspiration, of
Mhm.
alignment. That's really, and there's those of us who are going in that way. And the movement is what's
Mhm.
actually carrying it, is the movement of all of our movement
Mhm.
attention inside of, which to me is like, let's run, like let's run to the edge of that. And I get that whole not being so patient. I can be patient, but for me, when people are afraid of the next step, it's like, yeah, but there's also on the other side of that, there's this huge amount of excitement that we're going to create from a new place, maybe a more loving place, maybe a more inclusive place, maybe a place that allows more flow. You know, you're not spending 80 hours a week and then hoping you get 2 days off. It's honoring though, and maybe you're somebody who works like that and that works for your system, whatever. But
Yeah.
the fact that it's almost like you need to do this in order to be successful is
Yeah.
the thing we're breaking, is the paradigm that we're breaking out of, which
Yeah.
is the forward movement in leadership.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, when thank you for all of that. That was amazing. Like, it was very insightful. And it was like,
Mhm.
I'm like, my body's like, let's go.
Activate it. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. I love it.
Mhm.
Um, so as you're going forward in birthing your being in a
Mhm.
new way, are there some foundational things that you come back to that kind of like, yeah, all this is new and I'm innovating, but what are your tried and truths that are like, okay, but I'm not getting lost? Because sometimes you can spend too much time out there thinking, right? Or like, oh, I want to just be out there.
Yeah.
That can be escapism too. What are,
Yeah.
what are the things that keep you in that alignment or in that flow?
When you say out there, are you talking about different dimensions?
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, I want to make sure. Yeah, yeah. So this is perfect, and I'm the perfect person to be asked this question because I'm a true
Yes, that's where
believer.
it came.
I love it. I'm a true believer that we spend way too much time in different dimensions. People think that being in different dimensions, it's what's going to create the change here. It's actually our being grounded in this plane while accessing
Yep.
different dimensions. It's what's going to make a difference. So first of all, I'm a Taurus in the zodiac sign. So if anybody who knows about it, Taurus is
I
the
have
most
2 Tauruses. Yep. Yep.
the most stable sign in a whole entire horoscope. And then I have other parts in different systems that like show the groundedness in my design. So I'm super grounded, but at the same time, I am intuitive. I can access information from different dimensions. And one of the things that I always bring my clients to and myself is, what's the action that I'm taking with the information I just gathered? So I never just gather information and let it be like, oh, this was nice. Ooh, that felt good. That's what a lot of us do, right? Like we love
Yes.
getting downloads. Downloads are like, yes, all day long, right? But then we are on a 3D plane for a reason. One day we won't be. One day this 3D plane will be a different kind of plane. But I don't care if we're talking about 4 dimensions, 5 dimensions, 12 dimensions, 100 dimensions. We are here in a physical experience for a reason. And yes, we are awakening more and more to what it means to not be a human, but be a spirit in a human form. But we are in the human form. And it's us gathering the information from different dimensions, accessing our intuition, and immediately implementing it. implementing it where I am, taking action. It doesn't have to be huge. I don't have to change my whole life on one hit, although I have done that. But sometimes it's like, oh, just send this email, and I'll send an email and something will happen. And sometimes nothing will happen, but then something happens 3 steps later where I'm like, I wonder if that email put this in motion, right? So things I always
true,
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we have no way of knowing. We are not that sophisticated, and I don't care what anybody says. We are not that sophisticated to know what the cause of the effect is, other than I know I am causing things by taking actions in a certain way, in alignment with what I'm creating. So you asked me, what do I go back to? I always go back to vision. And vision, people have different definitions of vision. Some people get lost because they're like, I don't have a vision, I don't see anything. And for many of us, it is true, because we've been trained to not look at the future from a place of possibility, but from a place of security. Security is the antidote to a vision, right?
Yeah, it's the buzzkill.
It is, right? Like safety and security is the antidote to possibility and vision, and dreaming our future into a reality we are living. So, and we've been trained to not, so many people don't want to be disappointed, so they don't want to get excited about a possibility. People don't want to be disappointed or disappoint others, so they will not speak truly what they want, right? And all of that stops us from having a vision. But truly, every single time I feel like I'm a little lost, whether I'm lost in a different dimension or I'm lost in the chaos of the 3D reality that is happening around me, I always come back to, but what is it that I want to see? What is it that I want to be a contributor to? What is it that and sometimes, yes, sometimes it's like, what does my life look like 5-10 years from now? It's important. But sometimes it's like, what is my contribution this lifetime going to create for next generation and generation after that? And I let myself go there because I'm like, wow, if I heal, let's talk about money for a moment. The more I allow myself to heal anything that I have around money, the more I am a contributor to some system which may not exist until 3 generations forward. But if I don't do the work right now, and I know we don't live in a linear world, I get that. But the longer that I am anchored in something that doesn't work, a limitation, a scarcity, the more I hold that reality in place for myself and anybody who's connected to it. So vision is one thing. 2 is knowing that I'm here, like being in this reverence to my humanity, being in the sacred honoring of what it means to be a human being, that is actually a gift, that is actually like, I know people don't want to hear it too often, but being a human to me is like gathering all the experiences I've had as these different beings in different dimensions coming here, and then reconnecting with those aspects of me to create something tangible that actually can be touched, felt, experienced, built, loved, appreciated, which doesn't happen in non-physical. In non-physical, it's just all energy and clouds and smoke and dust and whatever else, right? So being in a true reverence to being a human. And the simplest way for me to do that, which I know it's really hard when like you don't have enough money to pay the bills, or your clients are just not the best to work with, or your kids are driving you nuts, or your partner just cheated on you. Like when things like that happen, or we get a nasty email because we stood our ground and our email list sends emails back saying, wow, well, this was harsh. I cannot imagine you would send something like that. I get emails. I used the word tribe once, and I got like several emails saying, well, this is very inappropriate. I am quite surprised you would say that. And this is an email, so I'm adding on.
I said tribe during our interview, so you're going to get some more.
I love it. Guess what? Tribe means a group of people that come together, glued by a vision and intention of what they are creating. Tribe is the most beautiful word to describe people coming together. That's my definition. So I said to that person, well, this may not be the place where you gather your information or inspiration. I invite you to find somebody else to learn with, because I may not be the person. So So being in this, in those moments when these things happen, remembering that we are all having a human experience. We're not always perfect. I am pissed off at people sometimes too. Sometimes I will say things I shouldn't. I don't email anymore. I don't post on social media anymore, but that's only because I've done work on myself. But I may still have a conversation in my head and say, wow, how can you not be aware of what this is
that
creating?
step out, eh? Good for you.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally. Right. So in those moments, I'm just like, we all just being in this amazing human experience. Can I have reverence for it in this moment? And it brings me back into what is this human responsible for in this moment?
Reverence is
What
very
is,
difficult.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right
And then, of course, there are other things. I'm super creative, so I have art. I have tons of books that are earmarked for pages that I go to read. If I get lost in some kind of a thought or something tries to steal my attention in a direction that doesn't serve where I'm going, I'll read a page from a book that immediately redirects me and says, okay, there is only possibility. There is only abundance. There is only more and more of what wants to come through me. And everything else is just the creation of my limitation. That's all it is. Okay. And when nasty people show up in my, and they're not nasty, they're just expressing their opinion in a ways that doesn't work for me. Okay, let's be clear about that. So when somebody crosses my path and I get twisted by how they cross my path, yeah, I'm still human. I may have a reaction, but then I'll go back to, well, you know what? We having a human experience. What am I seeing in them that I need to see in me? Oh yeah, yesterday I was totally like going off tangent on my partner. I was this person yesterday to somebody I truly love. Okay, thank you. I learned.
Humbling. Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds to me
Yeah.
like you have mastered the art of the reframe. Like it's like, look, and then what do I want to look at? Okay, this experience. Now, what do I want to experience? And that goes back to that, I call it radical responsibility, because it's really,
Mhm.
and our responsibility levels vary depending on
Yeah.
what's going on, the environment we're in and stuff. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, if you can go back to, oh yeah, here's my perspective. Do I want to feel like this or do I want to contribute to that?
Yeah.
You can just keep
Mhm.
it simple instead of like, I want to change the world. It's like, we all want to change the world. But like these simple things, like I find that the further we get into the newness, the more people want to go outside of the things that
Yeah.
really are the simplistic things that are just like back to here.
Yeah, we want to make it difficult. We want to escape a little bit. So a lot of people get lost in wanting to speak to different dimensions, wanting to speak to entities from different dimensions. And it's beautiful, and I do.
Yeah.
And I know that very often we get lost in and try to avoid. We avoid that way.
True.
We literally, I mean, even when we believe we're speaking to entities from different dimensions, very often I'm like, that's just a different expression of me.
I'm just telling myself what I want to hear.
Exactly. Absolutely.
You gotta
Yes.
laugh at yourself because it's like, God, I'm good. Sometimes like I'm
Yeah.
so good at convincing myself of something. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
you're
Yeah.
you're off base here. But to
Yeah.
check
Yeah.
yourself, right? To say, like, I know in this moment I am sort of avoiding, so therefore I'm making up, or I'm not actually in alignment. I mean, that also is a sort of a knowing yourself deeper.
Yes. Yes. And constantly being willing to learn yourself, right? Because I don't, I mean, yes, there is this whole idea of know yourself, but you only know yourself to the degree to which you know yourself in this moment. There is always the new level. So always being willing to discover something new about yourself that you're like, oh, definitely didn't see that one, but I've been that my whole life. Or in a very positive way, wow, I never saw the impact that I'm creating. I never acknowledged the difference that I'm making. So I kept myself small so I could only impact one person or two people, but I actually can do the same thing. And when I show up places, people benefit. Wow, maybe now I am willing to be bigger in the world. So it's the same. It goes both ways. And it's seeing the things we don't want to see about ourselves because they're not things that are like admirable, maybe like not good things about ourselves, but also seeing all the amazing things about ourselves that we didn't want to be responsible for, because that means, wow, now I have to do something about it. Now, well, wow, I have to build an audience and like people listen to me and I have to show up and
Yeah.
all of that, right? So being willing to really keep looking at ourselves and keep being surprised in a most beautiful way by who we are, who we've always been, who we are now willing to show up as.
That's pretty beautiful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just hear when you speak this real reverent space. I hear that, friend, of allowing and accepting and like being in it and being okay with wherever you are in it. I think
Yeah.
that in itself is new leadership. Like you're
Yes.
exemplifying that in the
Mm-hmm.
way that you are showing up here today.
Mm-hmm.
I am just I couldn't be happier. I love this conversation. Thank you for such a activating conversation. It's just the kind of
Mm-hmm.
conversation I love to have. I know you're sharing a gift with our audience
Mm-hmm.
today, and it's activate your sacred success, align
Mm-hmm.
with soul purpose and divine
Mm-hmm.
prosperity to birth your highest soul level body of work, even
Mm-hmm.
when you don't know your purpose yet. Would
Mm-hmm.
you please just sort of express? This is about those things that were offered, and then oftentimes we don't pick these things up. And I really want people to understand the value that in the gift that you're offering today.
Yeah, I'd love to share a little bit more about it. So it's a recording of 5 steps I took when I created tangible results in my life, the tangible kind of success, the old definition of success. You have things, right? And you are seen a certain way in the world because you have things. And I realized that what was missing was a huge part of me, which is my connection to my soul, my spirit, and then living the energetic principles, the universal laws, the intuitive truth in my life in combination with a tangible success. So sacred success means success, you define it, but it has some kind of tangible results in it. Sacred means that I bring in the sacredness into it. I create it in a way that makes me feel like a whole and complete being, even when things don't work out. So it's the 5 steps that I've created and I keep taking my clients through over and over. It's redefining purpose. So we didn't even get to that part of the conversation, but it's looking at purpose very differently than we have been taught. Looking at who am I here to serve? So getting outside of myself and say, wow, I may not be willing to grow my life for me, but I am here to be of service to others. Am I willing to look past my own fears, insecurities, and limitations because I'm here to bring something for others? So it's looking at that, looking at what is the medicine that I'm here to create that isn't like a box that you can put a label on, but it's more like something that keeps evolving as you keep evolving, but it has a thread in it, so you can always follow it. And then a conversation about money. How do I be with money in a different way? Because again, I had a lot of money in a way that didn't work for me. And I had all this money, all these things, all this life, and I was empty and lost and not happy, spiraling into depression. And that's when I kept seeking and seeking and seeking, and I got the answer that it was this my connection to the spirit of me, the soul that I am, that bringing that into the equation completed the whole formula. So it's the 5 steps that I went through to create the life I want to live and continue to. I keep talk about foundations. I keep coming back to the same steps no matter what. I'm in it right now. I'm looking at, okay, what's the next level that I'm bringing in for my clients? And I keep coming back to the same 5 steps that I have outlined in the recording that I'm sharing here as a gift.
So you're gifting everybody the framework that has transformed your life and the life of your planet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Thank you. It's so generous. I really do appreciate that. I'm going to give you an opportunity. Is there one last thing you'd like to share?
Yes. So I know that there is a word edge in the title of your series, and edge can be seen in so many different ways. I know in ways that I can't explain that we are at the precipice, at the edge of something, and we will be there for a long time. So in the past, you could say we were always at the edge of creation. There was always a new way we were going to be creating humanity. But right now, where we are, humanity, like we are not recreating any paradigms. We are not recreating what our grandparents did. We are not going backwards to the caveman. We are creating something that has never existed for humanity. Some argue that we've been here as humanity and have never been able to cross this threshold. We've never moved past this edge. We perished. And as humanity, over and over, civilizations have perished when they come to the edge we are at right now. And we are positioned very uniquely, based on what we can tell, to step into the next edge and not perish, not dissolve, not be some story of Lemuria that people tell at some point. We actually have the opportunity to become that next level expression of what humanity looks like. So we are at the edge of edges that we've ever come to. And I think it's scary and it's exciting. It's uprooting, it's uncertain, and it's chaotic, and it will challenge every single cell of our bodies, not just for this lifetime, but everything we ever brought in from our ancestors and different expressions of ourselves. Right now, we are working through it. So if you're up against something and you hit the edge, just know that it's not your own work you're doing. You're doing work for the collective that spans centuries, lifetimes, dimensions. And we have a unique opportunity to cross this edge into the next level of what humanity is up to. And that is something that we're not doing for us. We're doing for a galactic expression of what life looks like, not just on planet Earth, galactically. So if you, for a moment, allow yourself to stand in responsibility for what your role looks like right now and what you will take a risk, and I invite you to take a risk to be and create, you are tremendously, and I speak to every single one of us, including me, I say it, I hear it, every single one of us is absolutely indispensable if we are alive, awake, and aware. And we should not be sitting on the sidelines waiting for some grand sign that we cannot deny. We should be in action, connected, risking, evolving, falling flat, getting up. That's the opportunity.
Yes. Yes, it is. Thank you. Yeah, it's time to lean in. It's not to lay back. It's time to lean in. And
yeah.
I encourage everyone to connect to people like Anna and myself and other people who are here to support and not support, but empower the collective. That we're and don't go alone. Go together. We're far more. This is what this is about. This is a collective creation. So I want to thank you for all the insights, the gems that you shared. It's been amazing spending time with you. So please take advantage of the opportunity that she's offered you in her gift. And I really thank you. And I look forward to collaborating with you in the future. Thank you for showing up for everyone today.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Till we see you again. Bye.